This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
Hey, Rick, who are these, they're like Secret Service guys out in front with the headsets and stuff. What's going on?
The guys that are humming that song? What song are they humming? Well, I'm now the president of Green White Soccer Club. Okay. It's a not-for-profit soccer club here in Mount Prospect with a 67-year tradition, founded by my dad. Okay. They asked me to be the president.
You know what I think it's like? It's like you can't say no, right? It's like your dead father. How long has your dad been dead? 40 years?
No, only, that's ridiculous, 34 years.
Okay, so and you know that he's still in your head saying you got to do it, right? I mean, you can't say no.
Dave, it's a labor of guilt. That's what it is. It's a labor of guilt.
You know, I was just thinking of something.
Yeah.
What time in your presidency, like Biden or whatever, when you start getting sick of that song being played every time you walk into a room?
Well, I'm just worried about the aging, because when you take office, how they how young I look right now. Imagine when I leave office what I'm going to look like.
This reminds me of something, by the way. I posted this on Facebook. I found a website called How Old Do I Look?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And you upload photos.
Uh-huh. Oh, no.
Well, I shouldn't tell you this. Why am I telling you this?
Yeah.
I uploaded a photo of you. It's like 54.
Oh, okay.
I know, but I'm like,
take it.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I did not fare as well.
Okay.
And I kept on that. I have a bunch of photos on my
you kept
phone.
looking for new ones.
I kept
I look skinnier in this one.
60, 61, 66, and I finally found one that was like 57.
Okay.
Yeah. It was okay. It was 4 years ago was the photo, but
when you actually were 57.
Yeah, right, exactly. So don't go on the How Old Do I Look website.
All right. So hey, 54. That's not bad. Because I'm almost 60.
Yeah,
so
I know you're winning in that regard.
Thank you. But it's time for something right now. Do you know what it is?
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
All right, so the club has been around for almost 66 years, 67 years?
67 years, yeah.
Now, with changing tastes and technology and whatever, it's possible that you will be at the helm when it goes out of business. Right?
Oh, I think it's probable. And I think that's why I was elected.
Right, so you're going to be the guy.
So that, people can go, well, at least, Kempfer was in charge when it went down. That's...
So do you remember when Clinton, at the end, when Gore, lost to Al Gore, and then everybody knew that the economy was going to tank because we had like 10 years of just ridiculous growth.
Right.
And I bet Al Gore's like, okay. I don't want to, it's okay.
Right. I know. This whole Al Qaeda thing, it could go bad.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I got a funny feeling.
Right. I'm just going to concentrate on inventing the internet. Everything will be fine. Hey, we got a hell of a show here today.
All right, let's do it.
I think we can both agree that I'm the more athletic of the two of us.
I don't think we can agree on that, but all right, let's say
I had a triple in Little League back in 77.
I have a varsity letter.
Oh my God, that is...
I got a
it's soccer
letter.
In the 70s for America that no one even knew what the sport was.
It's a varsity letter.
Well,
right.
Well, I think that the story might interest you.
Okay.
Do not push a slower friend down if you encounter a bear, says the National Park Service. The National Park Service has some very important tips for what not to do if you and a friend encounter a bear in the wild.
Right. And the odds of the two of us being in the wild, first of all, pretty low.
Do you remember when we were applying for jobs while we were still in college? And we said that we were Champaign-Urbana's premier funny men who wrestle bears on stage.
Right.
That was way before the internet. No one knew if it was true or not.
Right. We just made up stuff. And one of them was that we wrestled bears.
Yeah, right. Well, Rick, if you come across a bear, never push a slower friend down, the agency wrote on Twitter, even if you feel the friendship has run its course, let's say 40 years or so.
Okay, yeah. We had a good run.
The agency used this lighthearted joke as a segue into other more serious bear safety tips. Well, evidently now it's, the spring's coming and bears are getting, I guess they wake up.
Sure.
And they're, they're foraging for food or
spring
whatever.
Practice.
And it's important to remember that bears in national parks are wild and can be dangerous. Evidently, they're just not there to steal picnic baskets.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Right. Boo-boo.
So they took to Twitter to say, do not, if you're running away from a bear, don't knock your slow friend out of the way.
Yeah.
Because, well, then the bear is going to eat him and you're going to feel kind of guilty.
Right.
Whatever.
That's the wacky joke. Yes.
So now I took the liberty to do some research on other helpful life-saving survival tips when maybe some of our listeners might find themselves in some precarious nature predicaments. Okay. Let's say you are vacationing in Southeast Asia and you're all of a sudden in the process of being attacked by a reticulated giant python. Okay. What do you do?
Squeal like a woman and run.
Okay, well, now these giant
And by the way, when I say squeal like a woman, I understand that is no longer an appropriate thing to say. And I apologize in advance for saying
Right,
that.
I think the more appropriate would be squeal like a rick.
Yeah,
is basically.
okay, that's better.
Well,
Yep.
I don't know if you know what these giant reticulated giant python, they can be 60 feet long. They can weigh 1,000 pounds. And they can eat, they eat cows and bison or whatever.
Jake the Snake, remember?
Right,
we had him on.
whatever.
He told us that these are really mean animals.
So when let's say you're in Southeast Asia and the python comes up, this is what you got to do. First of all, try to be swallowed feet first. Okay. Don't go head first.
All right.
That's a rookie move.
Okay.
So go feet first. All right. And you let him, don't squirm. Okay. So just let him swallow you up to about your shoulder blades. Okay. And then take your right hand and squeeze his gallbladder.
Okay.
This is on
And the gallbladder is where?
It's right where your hand would be if you're in the shot.
Okay.
It's like
depending
in the
on your height. What if what if they've got this down for like a 5'8" guy and you're 5'10"?
Okay.
And you're 2 inches off and you're grabbing like his liver or something.
Okay, well then you're dead. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to try this. I'm not going to try it.
Well, you write survivallife.com and tell them. So what you do is you grab the gallbladder and then that releases the throat muscles or whatever.
Okay.
And then you can just squirm out.
Okay.
Here's another one. Let's say you're at a Starbucks in the Lesser Sunda Islands of Indonesia.
Okay.
And suddenly a 10-foot Komodo dragon walks in.
A 10-footer. Okay.
Yeah, and takes issue with something you said. Okay.
All right.
Maybe you go, make some wacky joke.
Some
right?
anti-dragon thing.
Yeah. What do you do?
I don't know.
Well, you take off all your clothes and you try to pass gas.
For real?
Yes, because evidently Komodo dragons don't like the scent of humans.
Oh my God, I could do this.
Right. So, and the smell of humanity
and the combination of the scent and the sight of me naked
would drive every
gold.
Right. And if you go to Starbucks, depending upon how much coffee you've drunk, that might be very easy to do that.
Piece of cake.
All right. And finally, let's say you're performing at a comedy club in Africa.
Okay.
And there's a group of laughing hyenas getting drunk right there in the front row, heckling you.
All right.
Okay. You insult them and they get pissed and they attack you. What do you do?
I have no idea.
Well, if you are attacked by a laughing hyena, you look them right in the eye and you laugh as maniacally and as high-pitched as possible.
For real?
Yes, because that will show your dominance. The way that they show dominance is the way that they laugh. So you'd laugh really, really high-pitched right in the face of a laughing hyena.
But what if there's a pack of them?
Then you just do it to all of them.
Just to one at a time?
Yes.
Well, I see a hole in this plan.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you're performing at the comedy club, I doubt more than one hyena is probably going to even be there.
Well, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? They're pretty popular.
And then after the hyena leaves, you steal their mozzarella.
That was in my pre-presidential days.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, that sounds like some good advice for people out there. So thanks for that.
I think I like the reticulated giant python the best, is that you let him swallow you until
that's not going to do that. All right, Dave, I have a something for you. This is new words. Every year this comes up when they put new words in the dictionary. Well, this past decade or so has really brought on just a ton of changes to our society, and our language has expanded exponentially.
Is it because of the LOL and
the
whatever?
And there's the texting, there's just social media terms, things like that didn't exist 15 years ago. And the pandemic brought on these new terms like quiet quitting. Remember that one? And now there's a new one that I just read about this week called Bare Minimum Monday. Have you ever heard about this? Is for real. Where these millennials, they come in and they're like, give it their 20% on Monday.
Yeah. You know what we called that back in the day?
Monday. Anyway, dictionary.com just announced 313 brand new entries. The most recent additions come from all over the world, or all over the all over our lives, all the different facets of our lives. And there's enough of them that I've managed to turn this into a Minutia quiz. Are you up for that?
Sure.
Time now for a Minutia Man Minutia Quiz.
And you know how the Minutia quiz works. I give you 3 real ones and 1 fake one. All right? And you have to tell me which is the fake new word.
Okay.
All right. Cakeage. Okay. Cakeage. That's a fee charged by a restaurant for serving a cake brought in from outside. Kind of like corkage for wine. Cakeage.
Okay. All right.
Gastopia. The elusive shopping destination that will cost more money in gas than a person will save on lower prices.
Okay.
Gastopia. Nearly wed. You were one of these. A person who lives with another in a life partnership, sometimes engaged, sometimes not, no intention of marrying, okay? And Northpaw. It's an athlete who's right-handed. One of those is fake. 3 of them are real.
I think Northpaw is fake.
Northpaw is real.
Okay.
Just as I described it.
Okay.
I don't know why they've decided to add
all
that.
of a sudden. So you had
Cakeage, Gastopia, or
Cakeage.
nearly wed.
Cakeage.
Cakeage is real.
Jesus. Really?
It's either Gastopia or nearly wed is the fake one.
Gastopia.
Gastopia is the fake one.
All right.
Made that up.
Good.
That's
Good
based on my mother. I just talked to her the other day. She has 13 different grocery stores that she goes to save like 8 cents.
Right.
I went over the whole gas thing with her.
Excel spreadsheets.
Not working. All right. Another one. Rage farming. Rage farming is the tactic of intentionally provoking political opponents, typically inflammatory content on social media, to get angry responses and get more followers and engagement. Cyber flashing.
Okay.
That's an act of sending someone unsolicited, unwanted, sexually explicit images.
Okay.
Diction, not spelled D-I-C-T-I-O-N.
Okay.
D-I-C-K-S-H-U-N.
Okay.
Diction, which is a woman or gay man on a sabbatical from sex. Diction.
Okay.
And super dodger, anyone who remains uninfected or asymptomatic even after repeated exposure to a virus. So they are rage farming, cyber flashing, diction, super dodger.
Okay, I say diction is the fake one.
That is correct. That is the fake one. The rest are all real.
Okay.
Last one.
Yeah.
Petfluencer. Petfluencer. This is a person who gains a large following on social media by posting entertaining images or videos of their pet.
Okay.
I don't know anyone like that. Dave. Tifo. This is an adopted Italian word featuring a coordinated display including large banners, flags, and sometimes signs or cards performed in unison by supporters in a soccer stadium.
Wait, what? Do that one again.
It's a coordinated display including large banners, flags, and sometimes signs or cards performed in unison by supporters in a soccer stadium.
And what is the word?
Tifo.
Tifo. Okay.
It comes from typhus fever. Tifo, because they're feverish fans.
Okay. Okay.
And it's an Italian word.
Okay.
Grundle.
Okay.
Grundle is the region between the anus and the genitalia. Grundle.
Okay.
And then thigh rust. Thigh rust is the rash or burn caused by the rubbing together of flabby thighs. Thigh rust. One of those is fake. Petfluencer, Tifo, Grundle, or thigh rust.
Well, the pet influencer is definitely true, right?
Yes, it is definitely. Tifo, Grundle, thigh rust.
That was a great band. I'm going to go with the last one.
Thigh rust is fake.
Okay.
You're right. But the rest of them are real. Grundle? Have you ever heard? I mean, have you heard of any of these?
No.
As you know, there's 300 new words that you and I don't even know.
No. I wish, and my dad now has been dead for, 40 plus years. He would make up words when he got mad. Because it would be like
half German,
half
English.
English, half German. That would have been a great book.
That would have been.
But, well.
So do we have any reviews for this week?
Up All Night Peeing. 57 writes on Podtrack.
Okay.
I think, you know what? If there's a name,
it's our people.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a name that belies our demo, it's Up All Night Peeing. Come for the fun stories and stay for the remarkably bad celebrity impersonations.
Okay. Yeah, he's got us there. You can rate us, you can review us, you can follow us. If you like Minutia Men, check out some of the other great programs on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. You can pick out your favorite new show at opishows.com. Remember, Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIH shows.com. It's time for another feature. What do we call this one, Dave?
Rick can't find the jingle.
Time now for Studio Walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls. Rick and Dave.
So this is the part of the show where we dip into the vast Rick and Dave archives. And March 5th, Dave, 2004, Starsky and Hutch the movie was released. And we had the original Starsky on the show, which was a big thrill for us. Paul Michael Glaser. And I'd like to play a few minutes of that if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right, we'll play it right now. He'll always be in our mind, and this probably drives him crazy, but he'll always be Starsky from Starsky and Hutch. A show that was a worldwide hit, and I know that because I lived in Germany when it came out. It aired on German TV with German voices overdubbing the.
Und auch mit Huggy Bear und Schniegen.
And by the way, Paul, the voice of Starsky had a very deep baritone voice.
Really?
Yes. And you were always doing the wisecracking jokes, which, in German, there's no such thing.
Right. There's no humor in German.
Yeah, this is what I hear.
So let's, I know you probably are sick of talking about this, but go back to those Starsky and Hutch days. What are some of your fond memories from that time?
Well, boy, you're talking about a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. I was in junior high. I'm 56 years old right now.
Right. I the whole experience. It's kind of hard to dredge it all up, but the whole experience was a remarkable experience.
Oh, sure.
Any journey into celebrity is very intense, and. The way the public responded to our show was remarkable. I think that what I enjoyed most was the people I was working with. And Davey and I had a real interesting working relationship, and as did Tony Fargus and Captain Dobie. It was It was an interesting time because the company that we were making the show for was not prone to doing anything creative. Their attitude was, well, it's great the way it is. Don't upset the apple cart. Don't do anything new. Don't ask to change things. Just do what you're told. And neither David nor I were of that cut from that cloth.
Yeah,
we weren't interested in that. So we had many a battle and like that. But I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the character of Starsky because I got to do so many different levels of he was the character that was
that was really the most interesting character, wasn't it, on the show? I mean, you get the wisecracking, the rebel. Right. You were the rebel.
Yeah, it was. He had so many colors.
Yeah,
I could be serious, I could be funny, I could be silly, I could be angry, I could be stupid. I could do it all, and I enjoyed that very much.
And you didn't have to wear the costumes that Huggy Bear had to
wear. No, I got to wear. My one message to the wardrobe was I want to wear something comfortable because I'm going to be wearing it for 12 to 14 hours a day, and I want to be comfortable. And so,
well, and you had to jump around in the car a lot, and off the hood.
Exactly. And so the comfort was a big factor for me. I said, keep me comfortable.
You guys were huge stars, obviously. David and you. But probably maybe not quite as big of a star. That car, the Ford Gran Torino. I mean, I was like 12 years old at the time, and I was just like, man, that car is so
red
awesome.
Car with the white stripe on it. It was the coolest thing.
You broke a few traffic laws too, if I remember correctly, while you were driving. Did you ever get to really drive the car? I mean, it looked like you did.
I did a fair amount of the driving. Charlie Pacerni, who was our stunt coordinator, filled me in on what I couldn't do and taught me a lot. And, I did a lot of the driving. David was a little beside himself sometimes because, we had a bench seat. We didn't have bucket seats.
Oh, really?
And so, right. So if I took a hard left, hard right turn.
He's in your lap, right?
Lap.
Well, it was good that you're close then, right? You got a good working relationship.
I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how big of a fan I was of this show. That I not only watched the show in German every week, I bought the books. Do you remember this? They were Starsky and Hutch books, which were like PG-13 novelized versions of episodes of the show, I guess. And one year, do you remember those?
Yeah. No, I don't.
See, this is something.
Well, Rick still has them in his mom's basement. He'll send them to you.
I do. You probably got no money from that either. But anyway, one year I tried.
That would be correct.
I tried to submit one of those as like a book report in junior high, and the teacher said that it did not qualify as literature.
That bitch.
So maybe you weren't missing anything by not reading the books.
I mailed him one of those books.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And we you actually kind of developed an email relationship with him.
Very nice man, and he's a great artist.
And apparently this is 4 years ago. That's we've been doing this a while.
So those pictures, I look like 50 Cent.
You're right. That's the picture you should have used right there.
He's a great artist, and visit his website. I'm sure if you just Googled Paul Michael Glaser, it would come up. And our good friend Bill Turk,
right,
is now a friend of, and he's really a good champion of his art.
Yeah,
so
he really is.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, you get more shows.
Yeah, the story comes out from comes from the Netherlands.
All right,
you've been to the Netherlands.
I have several times. Now, did you say you wanted Jenkins for this? I don't want to force it on you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it can qualify.
When you're on the job and you're not doing it right. Jenkins! Time now for Dave to share stories of employee screw-ups. Jenkins! It could only be Jenkins! Jenkins with Rick and Dave. Jenkins!
Dutch cop monitoring spy balloon realizes it's just bird poo on his windshield.
Oh, my God.
A police officer in Boxtel joked on social media about his moment while driving, that he was concerned about the Chinese spy balloon. Remember the Chinese couple of weeks ago?
That's the only thing people talked about for like 3 days.
So he's driving around and he sees, oh my God, there is a spy balloon that is right over our fair city, right? So during his surveillance rounds, he was tracking it, and it was hovering. So wherever he went, it just was hovering. Like, oh, this is one hell of a spy balloon.
Yeah.
Right? So he, for whatever reason, got out of the car and realized that it wasn't a spy balloon. It was pretty much just a little piece of bird poop. And here's a picture of it right here. I got it right here. Look at that. Kind of looks like, it looks.
Yeah, it does. It's like a flying jellyfish
right,
almost.
Exactly. Yeah. So he joked about, the fact that, well, it wasn't a Chinese. Whatever. But this reminds me of a story.
Uh-oh.
So Lila was really little. I bet my pictures looked like I was 47 at the time.
Maybe even 45.
Maybe. And this might surprise you. I was a bit of a warrior back then.
And that's not warrior, W-A-R-R.
Yeah.
It's W-O-R-R.
Right. I don't think the word warrior has ever been.
Ironically, Kempfer, the last name, actually means warrior.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah.
I'm sure your ancestors are looking at you.
It was sarcasm. Right. It was like calling the short guy Stretch.
Right. And like calling me Harry.
Right. Yeah.
So anyways, Lila was really, really little, and I was changing her or whatever, and I noticed that there's this growth on her stomach.
Oh.
Yeah. It was like this kind of brown thing, and I'm like, holy, immediately I'm...
Right.
As you know.
Right. You've got the doctor on speed dial.
Yeah, right. I go from 0 to horror in seconds. So I yelled at Michelle, and Michelle, come here. Whatever.
What have you done to our daughter? Look at this spot on her.
Right. So she goes up there and she looks, and then she starts poking around. And it was one of those little, do you remember those little snacks that you bought when the kids were like, before they could really eat, they had like 2 or 3 teeth.
Yeah,
and they were like these little puffed, like cheese puffy things or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It was like a little cheese puffy thing that like stuck.
That's
right. And then she's like, you mean this? I'm like,
oh, I thought you were going to say it was something on your glasses.
Oh, no. But they're
all right.
There.
Well, I have a story for you. Police in Peru. This is International Desk. Police in Peru made a surprise discovery when they searched a delivery man who came to their attention for acting drunk at an archaeological site in Puno. Mm-hmm. Who hasn't done that? Yeah. I mean, come on.
I had a nickel.
And inside his cooler bag was an ancient mummy. And who hasn't done that, right? The man said that he had been sharing his room with the bandaged mummy and considered it a kind of spiritual girlfriend.
Oof.
And he had put the remains in the bag to show them off to his friends. He was
how big were these? Or was it?
Well, the mummy was wrapped in bandages in the fetal position, which is typical of many pre-Hispanic burials in the area. Mummification was practiced by a variety of cultures in what is now Peru before the arrival of the Spanish conquistadores. So we're talking many, many, many years ago. The man explained that he kept Juanita, he had a name for her, in a box in his room next to the TV.
Don't put that on your Tinder profile.
And he added that it was owned by his father without specifying how it had come into his father's possession. Now, the experts there told him the body lived between 600 800 years ago. Okay. Right, that's how old it was. It was about 4'11" and was estimated to have been over 45 years old.
Oh.
And he said,
which is probably pretty old back then.
He said, "Ooh, that's older than I thought, because this is a spiritual girlfriend." Right. Yeah. And he was, wasn't that thrilled about it. And then the expert said, "I've got even worse news for you. Juanita's real name was probably Juan.
Oh,
the mummy was a dude.
Oh boy."
And so
that was a great Aerosmith song, wasn't
it? Right. Mommy looks like a lady. But so police has now seized the mummy, and it is back in possession of the Peruvian authorities. So happy ending.
You know what I would have done with that mummy? Probably.
What?
You know how you go on the expressway and it says it's carpool lane?
Uh-huh.
I would have just put the mummy on the front.
That's great.
Carrying the mummy.
That's great. All right, it's time for another feature.
A random name pulled out of Rurik's bowl of brushes with celebrities. Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety. Time now for Celebrity Potpourri with Rick and Dave.
So this is the part of the show where we reveal some emails that people send us, because Dave believes that everybody in the world has at least one good celebrity story. And Dave doesn't see these. They come into me. And I haven't told you about some of the ones that we get that we don't air. We've probably gotten 4 or 5 different Macaulay Culkin ones in the past, which I have chosen not to use because they weren't that interesting. A lot of them happened in Winnetka and in
when they were
Wilmette,
doing the Home Alone thing. Okay.
This is a twist on that. Okay. All right. This is from Larry. My dad worked at an Episcopal church in Oak Park. Totally different, right? Not many people realize that some of the scenes of the movie Home Alone were filmed inside that church. The exteriors were shot in Wilmette or Winnetka on the North Shore, so people assume it was filmed up there, but the interior was actually my dad's church in Oak Park. It's the scene where Kevin goes inside the church for warmth and comfort.
Okay.
I wasn't there myself, but my dad was, and he gave Macaulay Culkin an ice cream sandwich during one of the breaks in filming, and he was very impressed that Macaulay said thank you. He tells that story at least once a year.
Then what happened? Nothing?
No, that's it. That's the whole story.
Yeah, right. It was very nice. Took the wrapper, put it in the garbage. He was a really nice kid.
What kind was it? Dean's? I think it was Dean's.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, so there's a Macaulay Culkin story. All right, so if people want, isn't that great? I don't know why I found that one so funny.
Because Dad needs a story, and it's You would think over the years,
pass the sweet potatoes. Hey, by the way, if you want a dessert later, I've got some ice cream sandwiches,
right.
just like the one I gave to Macaulay Culkin in 1990.
You know, if I was that dad, by now it would have blown into this crazy story of
exactly.
Helping him with his algebra and whatever,
And then he said, "Can we write a song about it?" And I wrote a little song that goes a little bit like this. All right, so if you tune into our other program, which is called Minutia Men Celebrity Interview, right now, people, what can they find, Dave?
Well, we've got Ismo, who is the funniest man on earth.
Yeah, he won a title.
He won the title as funniest man on earth. He's from Finland. And I want everybody to take a moment and go, how many famous people from Finland are there? And you're not going to find any.
We discussed that with him. He can't give us any good names either.
But he's a very funny guy. He's actually going to be in Chicago. Sadly, I won't be able to come.
Yeah, I won't either.
The weekend, right now. He's performing tonight on Saturday.
Yeah.
Out in Batavia,
I believe. Yeah.
Very funny guy.
Imagine trying to do stand-up comedy in a foreign language.
Right, when English is not your first.
He's Finnish. Right. Now, I'm going to play a little clip for you here because I want to show you how well he does it.
Okay.
And there are some advantages to being a stand-up comic talking about another language because it gives you openings to examine that language. And here's an example of that.
Things like, I think the hardest word to truly master has been the word ass. Ass. I thought it's really easy. It means a butt. But no. Like yes, sometimes it can mean a butt, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, there are so many meanings to the word ass. I think it's the most complicated word in English. I've been trying to write a whole dictionary about just ass. There's so many. Like, for example, lazy ass. That means lazy. like my lazy ass husband, it's the same sentence without the ass. The ass is just optional there. It's and long ass means long, like a long ass flight. It's a long flight. But if you want to make it longer, you can add ass. And my definite favorite one, a grown ass man. It turns out it means a grown man. The entire man has grown. It's not only his ass. So I learned that you can just add ass to anything, and then it sounds a little bit cooler. Like anything. I just bought this blue ass shirt. Oh, thank you. That was some good ass meatballs. Anything, but you have to be careful because sometimes if you add ass to something, it can actually reverse the meaning of the original word. Like, for example, bad ass. That's good. Like, bad is bad, but bad ass, it's good. But not always. Like, dumb ass is still dumb. So how can you know? You have to know specifically which ones are flipped. And then there's the concept of your ass. And your ass, that means like yourself. Like move your ass. That's like move everything. Like move your ass and the rest of your body. And like everything. If you have a car, that's included in the ass. All of them, same direction, just move. So your ass means yourself plus all you have. But my ass, that means like, no. Like if I say that, wow, this car is really fast, and you say, oh, fast, my ass. So it means like, no, it's not fast. And to make it even more complicated, ass can be divided. Like, because if you are an ass, that means that you're being stupid. But if you're half-ass, then it means that you are not concentrating properly. And if you go even smaller, if you are a piece of ass, then you are beautiful.
That's great.
That's 3.5 minutes just on the word ass.
That's
Ismo, and it's worth checking out our interview, Minutia Men Celebrity Interview. We need to thank for this show.
This was a long show. How long was this one?
It was 700 hours. God. It was, a little bit longer than usual, but that's okay. We gave people quality entertainment.
I'm exhausted.
We have to thank people. We have to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards. OPPIHshows.com. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with probably a shorter show. But so what? We'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
Minutia Men.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?